大家好, I'm Joyce.
Today we're going to switch things up a little bit and we're going to make a dessert. Today we're going to be making
Lemon Meringue Pie!
Let's get started. Okay, first we're going to get started with the crust. You're going to need to have a food processor on hand as well as
2.5 cups of all-purpose flour,
4 to 8 tablespoons of cold water,
1 cup or 230 grams of cold, unsalted butter cut into cubes,
as well as a pinch of salt,
and a tablespoon of sugar. The sugar is optional.
Alright, to get started, we're going to combine all of the dry ingredients and blend them thoroughly in the food processor. Okay, we're going to start by putting the flour into the food processor.
Oopsie daisy.
Got a little bit spilled there, but that's okay. Alright, after that, we're going to put in our pinch of salt. As well as the tablespoon of sugar. And then we can start and mix all the dry ingredients together. Occasionally, as you're going, you're going to have to kind of manually mix things a little bit. As you can see in the side over here, there's a little bit of a layer separation. You just want to get that as blended as possible.
Remember to keep on scraping off the edges when you think it's getting too high to the top.
Alright, back to it. After everything is more or less evenly blended together, we can transfer all of its contents back into our bowl. And then we can add in our water and mix it by hand.
So we start 1 tablespoon at a time, and we keep adding it until it's pretty much like a dough kind of form.
I'm just going to go in and mix it by hand.
Once the dough is pretty much mixed enough, you should move it over to a wooden board or any surface, with flour on it so then it doesn't stick, and you start moving over the dough into the board.
And after, mix all of the contents, smushing all the little crumbs into one giant ball, and then saran wrapping that ball and putting it in the fridge for at least an hour and up to a day. Alright, now that everything is more or less to shape, we have our saran wrap here. And just wrap it up, and into the fridge it goes.
Okay, so now that the dough has been cooling for quite a while, we can take it out and start working on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of knead it for a bit until it's a little warmer. Make sure that the dough is firm to touch. If it's not, then refrigerate it for another half an hour and then try again. starts to crack a bit, just like bring it in a bit and then keep on rolling. Alright, so we have spread out our crust. So remember that you should keep the edges and the corners a little thicker than the bottom, so then it's, you know, more secure.
Alright, once our oven is finished preheating, I'm going to chuck this thing in with all of its holes poked for 20 to 30 minutes. And after that, the pie crust is completed. Now we get to work on the meringue part and the filling part. We're going to do 25 here.
Okay, so while our crust is cooking, we're gonna get started on the meringue and filling part of our pie. We start with 1.5 cups of water, 4 egg whites, 1 cup of sugar, the zest and the juice of 2 lemons, 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 4 egg yolks, and 1 to 2 pinches of salt. Any type of salt works.
Alright, now it is time to make our pie filling. So start on a medium heat with a medium saucepan. Toss in the water. Let that slowly heat up, and as you do, throw in the cornstarch. The sugar. And the all-purpose flour. And then slowly let that mix in. Once that's mixed to about this state, you can throw in your lemon juice and zest, along with a small pinch of salt. And just continue mixing. Here.
Notice how the consistency is kind of gel-like.
And once we mix it up in the eggs, we can toss it back in and continue for a little while longer. There we go, all nice and blended. Back into the pot it goes. And heat. Back on again. And we continue mixing. Alright, once it has reached its second boil and is a relatively thick consistency, you can turn it off and let it sit. Why don't we go check up on our crust?
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so it looks like our crust is ready. Wow, would you look at that? Beautiful. Okay, let's transfer this over to our fancy little crust holding place. Somewhere, a little somewhere I like to call a mat.
Alright, now that our crust is out and our filling is more or less ready, we can go ahead and toss it all in here. Starting to take shape, looks good.
Woo! Okay, so our filling is ready and our crust is ready. All that is missing is our meringue. So let's get started on that. We're gonna take our 4 egg whites, put it in a nice mixing bowl, preferably a bowl that is electric mixer free. And we're going to beat the eggs until they are nice and bubbly and fluffy. Okay, so this is the consistency it should look like before you add anything else. And then in the egg whites, we're going to add gradually 6 tablespoons of sugar. 1 or a half a tablespoon at a time. Hey, look at that. It's beautiful. So now that you can see that it is forming peaks, it's looking great. So what we're gonna do is just shake the excess off and set down our mixer somewhere else, somewhere secure and safe. And with a spatula or whatever you want, you can add the meringue onto the pie. Just like that. Look at that, it looks like marshmallows, so soft. Okay, so look at that. All of our meringue has been spread out. And because our crust is already baked and our filling is already baked, we're not going to need to cook this for a really long time. We're just going to put it into the oven for around 5 to 10-ish minutes, or just until the meringue is kind of golden brown.
Alright, now we're going to toss in our pie for its final bake. 5 to 10 minutes or until golden brown. Alright, looks like our pie is ready. Let's take a look.
Wow!
Oh, damn! Alright, looks good.
Woohoo!
Holy.
Okay, so our pie is out of the oven now and it looks great. So we're going to need to let it sit at room temperature for 1 hour and then move it to the fridge for 3 more hours to sit. We need to do this because the inside, the filling, would need to have time to cool down and really just like settle down, because without it, if we don't do that and you cut through it, it's just gonna ooze on out.
Okay, after it's been chilling for around 3 hours now, we're gonna cut it open and take a look. The crust is very, very strong, to say the least. You can see it's a little bit juicy in certain areas, which was unexpected, but a welcome surprise.
It looks like it isn't quite ready, but I don't think we can wait. We'll just try a little piece today and then we'll leave it to cool down tomorrow.
There we go.
哦，已经凝住了，
很棒哎！
Looks like it turned out alright.
好棒，好棒！
很好，这里面一点问题也没有，都已经拧好了。
盘子给爸爸。
好，谢谢。
这盘子给妈妈。
谢谢。名厨美食已经推出有30多篇啦，感谢那么多的朋友喜欢我的视频。这里是我的微信二维码，如果大家喜欢，可以添加我的微信好友，让我们一起来探讨和分享美食当中的各种技巧和好方法，创造更好的生活。